Good morning and welcome to today's webcast, Accelerate Business with an Upgraded ERP System. Before we begin, I'm going to play a brief housekeeping video.
Welcome, and thank you for viewing our webcast series. Before we begin, please keep the following in mind. You can customize how you view our presentation and interact with the presenter. For better viewing, close all other applications and turn up your speaker volume. You can adjust window size and placement or enter full screen mode using the controls at the top right of the window or dragging the bottom right-hand corner to resize. At the bottom of your screen, you'll see a series of icons that relate to a different aspect of our session. You can download a PDF of today's slides from the Slide Deck and Handouts widget. You can ask questions by typing in the Q&A window and clicking Submit. We'll do our best to answer all questions or follow up via email. If you experience technical difficulty, refresh your browser by hitting the F5 key. This presentation is not legal, investment, or accounting advice. We encourage you to seek the counsel of a professional service provider to apply this content to your specific circumstances.
And with that, I'm pleased to introduce today's presenter, Michael Parker. Michael has worked in the technology consulting industry for more than 30 years. He leads the enterprise systems consulting practice at Moss Adams and has worked with numerous clients on a national and global basis to help them realize their value from technology. Prior to joining Moss Adams, Michael was a leader in the cloud solutions practice of a Big Four firm and has also been a speaker at numerous events, including FEI, Gartner, Oracle, SAP, and Workday. And with that, Michael, I'll turn it over to you to get us started.
Great. Thank you, Emily, and welcome, everybody. Thank you for your time today. As Emily said, we want to talk about how to accelerate your business with an upgraded ERP, and really that starts with what do you have today, the legacy software, how outdated software can hurt your business, signs that you're outgrowing it or have outgrown it, and then how to make that transition, how to move from a legacy system you probably had for a long time into a new system, and then really want to drill down into how NetSuite can help you get there. We feel like that's one of the best solutions in the market, and really just going to want to focus in on that, and then talk next steps and questions. So first of all, what is legacy software? So legacy software, by definition, is an old and outdated software program that's still used to perform tasks, even though a newer and more efficient options are available. Ultimately, in real life, what it means is you've got antiquated software that no longer meets the needs of the business. So what we find is people have had these systems for a long period of time. They bought it under maybe even a different set of circumstances within the business, but they continue to live with it and try to make it work for their business. So with that, Emily, we have a quick polling question.
Okay. Our polling question for today: did you implement your software solution over 10 years ago, or are you only receiving maintenance updates from your software vendor? And your options are A, yes, or B, no. So we'll give everyone a moment to think on that. And just another second to put in your selection here. All right, let's go ahead and see what everyone has to say. Back to you.
All right, so pretty evenly split. Nice to see. I think it puts people in a different place and looking at it, how they view their software. So let's dig into the content. So how outdated software can hurt your business? Let's talk about that to start with. So really, at the end of the day, you get a decreased ROI. Many times if your software is end of life, or it's maybe someone has been acquired by another firm, i.e. a JD Edwards has been acquired, Microsoft's acquired a lot of their portfolio. You no longer get the ROI. They're not innovating on the software. They're not providing you robust new features, new releases. Really what they're doing is taking your support dollars and keeping you up. And that really isn't a great investment and a great ROI on your software investment. We find that, again, there are people that have outdated software start to have manual processes, they have workarounds. And what that really drives is increased process costs, increased systems costs. You may have to have an add-on module. You may have to drop it out to a business intelligence tool. You may have to do a lot of workarounds, Excel, tool that many people use. But it starts to drive up that process and systems, both from a time and a just pure cost perspective. So really does increase that investment that your business has to make. And really that's because of the inability to support the current processes. Again, you've evolved as a company, you've changed as a company, you want to optimize, you want to do things better, and a lot of times the system isn't built or configured for that, and nor can it be. Again, I think a lot of times it supports a past way of doing things, whether that be how you get data, who accesses it, what the process flow looks like. There's a lot of scenarios. Security sometimes will be an issue. And really, at the end of the day, one of the biggest things, it limits your ability to perform those processes, but also to have the visibility in that data. I think one of the key points of an ERP system is to provide visibility into the data, into the processes that drive your business. So if you can't see that data, you can't have reporting in real time, you can't have analytics, you can't have the information to make the decisions in your business, it really limits your ability to run your business, and you're always looking in the rearview mirror, and that's really not a good way to work through a lot of your key processes. Also, securities and controls. We see a lot more of people in older systems that can't support, again, proper security controls. They get dinged by their auditors. They get dinged by, I guess, I even had some where it didn't manage the process effectively, and they found that, for example, people could, enter and approve a journal entry, things like that. So really security controls start to become more vulnerable and more out of date as the system ages too. So signs your company's outgrown it. I've talked about a few of these, but really if the water cooler conversation is that the system no longer fits your needs, again, people are working around it, people are doing other things to run the business, to make decisions, to operate key processes that are created because the system doesn't support them. That's a key component. And that a lot of times is just manual workarounds. Again, I see a lot of people, they'll perform a process in an ERP system, and then they'll drop it to Excel, and they'll manipulate that data, and they'll create the reports in Excel because the system doesn't allow them to do it in a way that's relevant to their business. Reporting, I talked about, is difficult or impossible. A lot of systems have a very closed architecture. Reporting, particularly reporting across processes. So if I'm trying to look at, my purchasing into my operational side, or I'm looking at how my cost of goods sold is calculated for existing inventory, using existing inventory movements, things like that, the more complex that is, the more difficult our reporting becomes and the more issue that becomes for the business. Another area is data isn't trusted or it's not accurate. We get this many times because there's been a proliferation of the systems that are used because the systems no longer meet the needs. Then you start getting into, I've got the same field in two different systems, which one's accurate, which one's the source of truth. Reporting becomes much more complicated. No one knows where to pull data, or people are pulling from very different sources and getting different results. And then it's really hard for the business to make decisions off of that. Again, talked about this, no innovation. I mean, there's a lot that's changing in the world, from how we access data to how we view data to how our processes work, who's touching our systems. And if a system's just giving you maintenance, really probably not not meeting the needs of your business. And then as I talked about, your costs just keep going up because of all the things above. Another big facet is if you think about how, again, people access, the world has very much changed about the expectations of your employees and your vendors and your customers about access to data. Is, if you think about, now what you want in a personal world is, you want access to the data immediately. You want to be able to access it anywhere, anytime, any place. And if your employees can't do that, that's a frustration for them. It leads to sometimes even like retention issues, perception issues about, again, the quality of your firm and your group. And so we see a lot of even just impacting employee satisfaction as a key component here. So how to move from a legacy solution to modern solution. So, you've determined you've got a legacy solution, it's no longer meeting your needs. What does that transition look like? I think the first thing is stop and really do a full assessment of what are my needs? What are the requirements? What's working, what's not working? And I don't mean what is my current state process? Because I think that's something I hear people will take the time and document, and I'm not a big believer of, but I am a big believer of focusing on the requirements components, understanding what does the business need in order to be successful today, as well as, look as far out as you can. If that's 1 year, 3 year, 5 years, or whatever, then look that far out and understand where the business is going. Do you grow via acquisition? Do you grow organically? Are you looking to grow geographically? Are you looking to grow by product? There's a lot of facets here, and understand where the system needs to be when you get there. Take the time to select the right solution, the right vendor, and the right partner, because I do think all three of these are very critical to the success of that future state. You've got to have the right fit. If you have the right solution, but the vendor is hard to work with, that's troublesome. If you have the right solution, right vendor, but you have a poor partner, the implementation generally doesn't go well. And then again, you don't get the value from your investment. Next one is probably one of my core tenets. Don't make it just about the technology. If you just stand up new technology, you basically have a shinier, prettier version of what you already had. Look at the business and understand how the technology enables the business need. And that really is one of the biggest drivers of success is I need, it should be speaking in business terms. And so understanding, again, what does the business need? What is it not getting? Not, I need to set up this field or this page or this, that comes and it really, and also, how do you get people on board? How do you get users excited to use it or understanding the criticality of using it? So the change management aspect is critical. And then last, a lot of people are running very lean, especially these days, but put the right people in the project and give them time to do it. That's hard, but it makes such a difference in how your business is going to operate, that having the key people that understand your business, understand how it should work, have them have a voice, have them have a role is critical, again, to the technology really enabling the business and how the business is going to function. So how can NetSuite help a growing business and really help them become more agile? So a lot of times what I see today is something along this lines. This is just a visual, obviously, but I see that a lot of people have really created separate systems because they just added onto what was already there. They didn't really take a look at, again, how does it all work together? How does it work to, bring that data in together? So what we end up with a lot of time is, we end up with several different systems. It may not necessarily, again, be broken up this way, but, again, a financials and an e-commerce or financials and warehousing, all of things like that. Your sales or CRM may be different than your accounting software. But I guess the question is, and that doesn't necessarily, it's not the bad thing, but it's understanding why. Are you getting the benefit out of having a best of breed, or is being able to have it in a single system and have that fully integrated, have the capabilities to integrate those core processes part of that solution? So we see a lot of very fragmented systems. We see a lot of add-ons. I talked about BI tools. We get a lot of reporting add-ons because, again, the core system can't perform this or can't provide that need. So we do see a lot of, again, fragmented architecture from a systems perspective that really helps drive a lot of the issues that the business has, because, again, getting data out of different systems or having data in different systems is very complex and doesn't necessarily support the needs of a person to get that information. So what are you trying to get to? You're really trying to get to, in a single state, a single data source. And what NetSuite really provides, and one of the things we really like about NetSuite as a software solution, is it really can be that one source of data. It can perform your CRM, it can perform your accounting, it can perform your ERP. So it can do production, inventory, supply chain, even HR or e-commerce if you wanted to. So the idea is, again, how do you have all of that intertwined? Because if you think about how your business runs, it is intertwined. And that really, the system reflects how you operate. Are you, global or multi-currency, multilingual? Are you multi-subsidiary? Do you operate, whether that be individual business units or complete separate companies? Having that flexibility to operate your business in the system the way you operate your business in the real world is a critical point. NetSuite offers a lot of pre-delivered. So again, you're not having to build things. You're not having to really start from scratch. You can take what NetSuite offers and really tailor it to you, whether that's a dashboard or whether that's a set of reports or whether that's roles and responsibilities. Being able to give the capabilities out of the box that meet, most of the needs is critical, because then you can really focus on, again, what are those unique things or what are those specific things that really drive the value in your business, in your organization, in your department, in your process, that helps you get to, the technology solution really, again, being an enabler, not a detriment. You also want the technology piece. You want APIs. You want integrations. Very few companies in the world can get to a single system that runs everything. So you are going to have other systems. So the ability for those systems to talk to each other and pass data back and forth is critical to the success. And so you really do want a platform that can have integration, has an open API, has open data sources, and can really, again, meet the needs of your business regardless of how that transforms as you move forward. Another thing is reporting. Again, so many of my clients use separate BI tools because they can't get the data out of their core systems. There's nothing wrong with BI systems. They're great in some circumstances, but a lot of the just process reporting, the operational reporting, shouldn't have to be done through a BI tool. NetSuite does a great job of giving you role-based dashboards. So if I'm a CFO, I have a dashboard that fits my role. If I'm a controller, I have a dashboard that fits my role. If I'm a production manager, I have a role. If I'm an inventory manager, I have a dashboard that fits my role that is relevant to me, but then I can tailor to me personally. I can make that exactly what I want and what I need to make it more valuable to me. And it's actionable. From a dashboard, you should be able to click all the way back into source data, to source transactions, to understand if it's a red light, why? If it's, just a value, and I want to understand what makes up that value, I want to be able to click down in just a couple of clicks to be able to get to that source level data and get to the level of detail that I really want and need. And so that's the goal, is really to have that at your fingertips all day, every day. And that's really, again, one of the things we like about NetSuite is, again, it really provides a very broad set of tools. It provides a very robust architecture. It allows you to access it anywhere, anytime. It's 100% browser independent. It's a cloud-based product. And a lot of people were like, well, what does that mean? It really means I don't have any servers. I'm not getting hosted. There's a lot of cloud that is really old client server that's just been put into, an AWS or an Azure environment, and they call it cloud. But really, I should be able to access it whether I'm on my phone, I'm on a tablet, I'm on my laptop, I'm on at my home computer, I'm at and all of that should be based on the security that I want as a firm. Also, you want it to be secure. I mean, early days especially, a lot of people said, well, cloud's not as secure, and I would fundamentally disagree with that. These vendors spend more on security than any firm I've ever worked with, and I've worked with some Fortune 10 companies, and these companies cannot get hacked. They cannot afford to. But they also provide a lot of tools, and really the way to augment the core systems in a way that helps, again, drive. It could be collaboration, it could be sharing, it could be distribution of reporting. It could be, there's a lot of facets here, but the idea is to have a set of tools that meets your specific needs. So we like NetSuite, again, and we chose to build a practice around NetSuite because we feel like it is a single cloud-based platform and fully supports your business, whether that be, again, all of it being in NetSuite, whether it be you're going to use, a Salesforce.com as your CRM and your sales order management system, and that's going to flow into, again, your core accounting ERP. If you're an e-commerce company, are you going to use a Shopify or a BigCommerce or WooCommerce for your e-commerce engine and then feed that over? If you're a services company, are you going to use, a professional services automation software and then feed that data back in again to your core accounting system? But the idea, again, is to be able to have the right data at the right time available to you in a way that you can use. And I think that's one of the key critical points of modern ERP systems. And we feel like it's one of the things that NetSuite does really well, and that NetSuite provides to companies across a very wide variety of industries. NetSuite does have different SKUs or different components that meet the needs of certain industries, and they package them in that way. And I think that's another value add from how NetSuite delivers their product, is that it's not a one-size-fits-all. If you're a services-based company, there's a services-based set of products. If you're a manufacturer, there's a certain manufacturing. And if you're a nonprofit, there's a nonprofit set of products that really, again, applies much more specifically to you, and then allows you to tailor that to be unique to your individual needs and requirements. So with that, I'll take some questions. So, Emily, I'm not sure if there's been some questions entered, but I'll...
Yeah, we do have a couple questions. If you have a question for Mike, you may submit that in the Q&A window. Let's see here. What are some signs or indicators we should look for as a sign that we need a new system?
Yeah. I touched on this a little bit in the presentation, but I think really the biggest one is manual processes. If people are having to drop things to Excel to merge data together or to create reports, or they're finding workarounds because the system doesn't perform what is needed from the business. I think that's the number one thing I hear and see, is that people are always, we got 1,000 manual processes, or we use Excel for that, or here's our report because we're pulling data from system A and system B, and there's no way to bring that data together. I think that's the number one thing to me is the manual processes and the workarounds are a sure indicator that the system is no longer meeting the needs of the business.
All right, thank you. Okay, we're on an old system, but we're having a hard time selling the needs to senior management. Any tips on how to help them see the need for a new system?
Yeah, great question. I think it really boils down to a business case. At the end of the day, especially now and a lot of our economic climate or uncertainty where it's going to go, a lot of people are doing more with less. But I would say create a business case, document your requirements, document the pain points, and try to quantify that. I have clients that have people working on these manual steps, and they can quantify X amount of hours per week at whatever the rate is. The inability to support business processes, what's the potential impact of that? There's a lot of ways to do that, but I would say take the step back, really catalog and weight your requirements, and then wherever you can, quantify the impact on the business and make that specific. And I think that goes into a business case that, again, then would generally get approved by the executive group or even board in some cases.
Great. We have time for a couple more. Our vendor is telling us that moving to their new version is an upgrade, but it doesn't feel this way. Are there any signs or tips on how to approach this scenario?
Yeah, and that's true. I think we're getting a lot of products that were either acquired or just end of life, and there's a newer version available. Most particularly in the Microsoft stack, I see this a lot. And so really, if it's an upgrade, it should just be able to, all your data should be able to be ported over. You should be able to truly apply a bundle and not have to go back through your traditional implementation steps. If you're having to configure, if you're having to re-look at data structures, if you're that's not an upgrade anymore. And many times they'll say, oh, well, we have an upgrade available, and really it's data loading templates. So ask the hard questions. How does this work? What does the process look like? And if it starts looking like an implementation, it is. And then I would encourage you to then take the step back and say, is this system really the right one for us? Or am I better off looking at what is that right future state for my business? Because I do think a lot of times vendors will sell it as an upgrade, and it really is, in essence, moving to a net new system.
Thank you. All right, let's squeeze one more question in here. How do we learn more about NetSuite?
My contact information's here. I've got a whole team that focuses on nothing but NetSuite. We're a 5-star partner of NetSuite. We can help clients evaluate those needs, evaluate the software. We value our long-term relationship. We really want clients that to understand how the software works, how the software will work for them. And that's the focus of our NetSuite team, is really to help guide clients through that, whether that be the evaluation, the implementation, once they go live, a lot of times an optimization, and then even ongoing support. So absolutely, my contact information's here. I'd love to hear from everybody on the call.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Mike, for a great presentation today. If you have any further questions, like Mike said, please do reach out to him directly here. And we have a link to an online survey where you can provide feedback for today's presentation. Please take a moment to complete this survey, as your feedback is very important to us. And thank you all for joining us, and we hope you'll join us again next time.
Thank you, everyone.